Hello, and welcome to Sustainable Brown Girls Podcast. I'm your host, Ariel Green. Since this is our first podcast, I thought I would come on here and introduce myself and let you know what the goal is for this podcast and the whole Sustainable Brown Girl movement. First, about me. I am a Black woman living in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been here for 10 plus years, but I was born here. I've just lived in other places around the country. Well, it's hard to pinpoint an exact time in which I became interested in sustainability. I feel like I've always been a nature lover and a person who has been at least a little bit cognizant of the amount of waste I produce and the amount of things that I bring into my home. I think that overconsumption is a big part of waste, and the less we consume, typically, the less we waste. But what really got me into being more aware of my impact on the planet was over the past few years learning that by 2050, the damages of climate change and how that's going to affect the entire world. So I wanted to know what I could do to help reduce that, or what I could do to change my habits so that it wouldn't so that I could at least do something, because just learning and hearing about it can be scary. So I wanted to try to do something about it. I started Sustainable Brown Girls because as I was researching and trying to find ways in which I could, make better choices, I found a lot of white people on YouTube, a lot of the big influencers in the space on Instagram are also white. But I was thinking, I know I'm not the only brown person who's interested in this. So after doing just really a little bit more digging, I started finding more and more Black, brown, and Indigenous women and men, honestly, who are doing amazing things in the sustainability space all across the board, from gardening and farming to having sustainable companies like making soap and candles and cleaning products and paper products, and people who are climate activists. So there were so many people that I found that you don't see in the forefront. So I created Sustainable Brown Girls to help highlight those people, bring awareness to them, and so that we can learn from them and support them. Sustainability can mean so many different things, just from what I just mentioned about the different people in different sectors of what I would call the sustainability niche. There's just across the board so many different things that you can do to be sustainable. I don't think that there is any right or wrong way to be sustainable. I think that everybody has different resources, different interests, and different skills. And Sustainable Brown Girls isn't about preaching one specific way to be sustainable, because it can mean many different things to many people. The goal here is to introduce everyone, including myself, to all of the different ways that one can be sustainable. But to me, sustainability means trying to make the least amount of impact on the planet. So, what that looks like for me is trying not to use a lot of plastic. That means learning how to garden. That means using everything that I have and not wasting things. That means Watching what I buy, making sure that I don't overconsume. I think a lot of waste has to do with overconsumption, overbuying, buying too much food, buying too many clothes, buying a new car when we don't really need it, buying all of the newest electronics when what we have is perfectly fine. So, just by being conscious of what I'm buying, where I'm spending my money, is one of the biggest ways in which I strive to be sustainable. I would say one of the first things you can do to reduce their environmental impact is to do a trash audit, which would be you looking through your trash and seeing what you are throwing away a lot. So for me, that was I ate a lot of takeout, so I had a lot of plastic containers and cups and straws in my trash can. So by cutting out eating out, I was not only reducing the amount of trash I was creating, but I was also saving money. Along with that, I would say see where you're spending a lot of your money. It kind of goes hand in hand. So I'm seeing a lot of takeout containers in my trash can, and I'm also seeing a lot of DoorDash debits. So for someone else, it might be you're spending a lot of money shopping online, buying clothes and housewares and little knickknacks and things that are just creating clutter and taking up a lot of your money and space, and you're just over consuming things. By doing an audit on your trash and your bank account, that should give you a really good indicator on the first steps that you can take to start reducing your impact on the planet. Because the more we consume, the more demand we're creating, the more trash we're creating, because we need to get rid of the things that we buy. Like I said before, sustainability isn't all about waste, but I think it's one of the biggest parts because when we create waste, we really don't have a way to dispose of it. So it's just sitting in our landfills and it's damaging the environment overall. So I think that by being aware of what you're consuming and then also how you're disposing of the things that you are consuming can give you some insight into where you can start cutting back and will probably make the biggest difference. If you're new to the sustainable lifestyle, you may be wondering, why does it matter if I have a ton of clothes that I just bought for cheap online and will only wear once, if at all? Well, one garbage truck of clothes are burned or sent to landfill every single second. It takes more than 700 gallons of water to make just one cotton t shirt. Not to mention that so many clothing companies exploit women and children of color. So it's important for us to make decisions with that information on where we choose to buy clothes from, how often we're buying them, and how we take care and dispose of our clothing. You may also be wondering, why does it matter if I buy too much food and let it spoil? Well, 1/3 of all food produced ends up in the trash. Not only does wasting food waste money, it's wasting resources. Now, I should mention that not all of that food waste is on the consumer level. A lot of it is done at the supplier level, at the grocery store level, but I know that we've all been guilty of throwing away food. And when we throw away food in a garbage bag and it goes to landfill, it is unable to properly break down, thereby releasing methane gas into the environment, which contributes to global warming. And maybe you're also wondering, why does it matter if you don't use a reusable water bottle? Well, plastic waste is clogging the ocean and landfills. A lot of plastic that we use isn't recycled. and it's estimated that a plastic water bottle takes 450 years to decompose. While plastic is virtually unavoidable, there are swaps that we can make to reduce the amount that we consume. I know that these stats can be overwhelming, especially for me. I felt overwhelmed, I felt helpless, I felt scared, honestly, for the state of our planet. But I'm not giving these facts to scare you. I think it's good to have information so that we can make informed decisions. And the more informed we are, of course, the better decisions we're going to make. So, the goal of Sustainable Brown Girls is to share this information, to share things that we can do to make better choices and to reduce our impact on the planet. In this podcast, I will be interviewing various women of color who are working to make a positive impact on our planet. I'm so excited to learn from these women, and I hope that you are excited as well and you are ready to go on this journey with us in Sustainable Brown Girls. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast today. Be sure to subscribe and also follow us on Instagram at Sustainable Brown Girl. We would love to have you there. And be sure to share this podcast if you loved it and leave us a review. Until next time, continue to make healthy choices for the health of our planet and the health of our bodies. Take care.